I see Rocky Long walking around out there.
Yep.
You got to get over here. Yeah, he just pointed at us. Yeah, Coach, you are. You're supposed to be over here right now.
Right.
Come on. We'll talk to you. Rocky Long will be on here in just a second. What a day out here. It's something that, Dennis, we were just talking about a minute ago. There's something to it, and I'm not going to say San Diego State does it better than others, but it's cool to see any organization that does things like this, because I'm not kidding with that whole bro hug thing. There's some real ones and some long ones going on right now. It's really cool to watch. Everybody here is extremely happy to be here. They're seeing faces they haven't seen in a long time. There's a serious camaraderie going on here.
Year one with the Aztecs broadcast team, I learned on the run with these guys and meeting a lot of Rocky Long staff as he's getting set up here. Familiar faces. You don't get to see each other when you're on summer break, except these guys see each other all the time. So maybe they're just hugging because they get the day off. Is that the deal? Are these guys going right back to work, or are they allowed to golf and enjoy a day to themselves?
No, I just got back from media day in Vegas, and us head coaches sit there and talk about it, that we want to be assistants again. Because as a head coach, you get very little time off, and the assistants think they get no time off, but our guys have been off since June the 16th. They go back to work full-time starting Monday. So that, to me, sounds like 5 weeks of vacation.
That
sounds like 5 weeks of vacation.
If you add it correctly, I believe so.
And they're playing golf today, and you're shaking hands today, right?
Yeah, but they I guess they started work today because they had no options. They were coming today, I guess they started work today.
Yeah. By the way, Rocky Long with us. Obviously, you mentioned Mountain West Media Day. I'll tell you why I'm asking this in a minute, but you guys who have to sit there and answer all these questions at a media day thing like that, where, let's be honest, all we come out of there with is the media's incorrect prediction about what's about to happen, and then a bunch of forecasting way down the road thoughts on what's going on. What is that experience like? What do you guys think of media day? And go ahead and be honest.
Yeah, it's all right.
Well, I'm shocked every year because we start at 7 o'clock in the morning and we're out of there by about 5 or 6. And I'm shocked every year because all I do is sit and talk or stand and talk. That's all I do.
Yeah.
And I'm so tired at the end of it. It's unbelievable. But you are right. I answer the same question about 100 times. Sometimes they ask it a little bit differently, but it's the same dang question.
Right.
In my opinion, I hope that the fans are watching and the fans enjoy it because the coaches don't.
They don't. And you know what? You can weigh in on this. Your first opponent this year, Stanford, Bryce Love is getting whatever word you want to use.
Heisman hype.
But he's getting criticism from some media members because he didn't go to media day as the title player out of the Pac-12. He had some school obligation that he felt was really important, so he skipped it. And I thought, boy, it's kind of disingenuous for the media to criticize someone for not coming to media day.
Well, I'm with them. I'm really mad at Bryce Love.
Are you?
Yeah, because I wanted him to come out for the draft.
Right.
That's right, yeah.
I didn't want to have to worry about playing against him again, and for some reason he stayed in school. That guy really wants his education. There's something wrong with him wanting the education that bad.
What a jerk.
What a talented jerk. I agree with you. Speaking of which, this year it sort of feels like, given what happened last year with the Pac-12 schedule early on, you're not sneaking up on anybody. You go a perfect 2-0, and then you get into your regular season games. What's that atmosphere going to look like, in your opinion, when you guys go up to Palo Alto, when we're all up there?
Well, I'm sure they're going to be ready, if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they didn't look past us last year either.
No, it was a hard-fought game.
Yeah,
David
Shaw is a great coach.
Yep.
Their team is well prepared. I'm sure they were ready to play last year, and we just outplayed them a little bit. It was a great game. I anticipate the same thing. I anticipate a great game. I don't know who's going to win, but I think it's going to be close, and someone's going to make the critical play.
There was a little jawing between his staff and your staff. I remember last year leaving the field. Is there any animosity whatsoever that leaches over season to season between coaching staffs? I know it happens all the time with players. I remember when I was playing, there were certain guys where you just knew, you were like, it's about to be a dogfight. Does that happen with coaches as well?
Oh, it does, but it didn't happen in this case.
Okay, all right.
This case, it was, and part of it's the way our stadium is, that they crisscross at halftime.
Yeah.
The teams run, so they're close together, and a couple of players got into it. A group of our guys got into it with a group of their guys, And David Shaw stepped in to separate his guys, and he said something to our guys. And then so Hunky Cooper heard him talk to our guys, and he said, you take care of your guys, we'll take care of our guys. And that was it. It was no big deal. They both, everybody went in the locker room. We came back out.
Yeah.
That was no big deal.
Yeah, just had a little blackout and a win. It's a good little Saturday there, yeah.
Rocky Long joining us. Okay, I'm going to try to ask you a question right now that you don't normally get then. How about this?
That's great. I'll tell you if I've been asked it 100 times in the last day.
Please, you tell me, because I just listened to the way you answered that. You just led us into something that actually happened with your team on the field. Most coaches don't do this. This guy next to us played for Bill Belichick. He's never said anything honest into a microphone in his life.
That's true.
He doesn't.
That's absolutely true.
You are so honest. The way you talked, you came on our show last year as a football coach and said you're embarrassed by some of the football coaching salaries. You were at Media Day as a football coach and said this initiative November is not just about football. This is clearly brutal honesty. Why have you chosen to be like that publicly?
To be very truthful, I want to be as true as I can be, and I'm not, and I don't think I'm always right, but I have an opinion, and I want to give you my honest opinion because I'm not smart enough. If I lie, I'm not smart enough to know when I lied and what I said. So if I give you my honest opinion, even though I'm proven wrong a lot of the time, at least it's an honest, truthful opinion when I give it to you. And so I don't have to worry about trying to backtrack and hiding that someone might hear what I used to say, and now they're predicting what I'm going to say. And I guess my dad taught me not to lie right from the start when he threw me up against the wall when I lied to him. But that's okay. That's another story.
Yeah. No, I mean,
did I ask a new question, by the way?
Yeah, I mean,
he does a lot of interviews. He does a lot.
I've been asked before. People think I'm honest, and all I'm doing is telling what I think is the truth.
Right.
And like I said, I've been proven that I was wrong lots of times.
It's not just
but
about,
at the time, I'm telling you what I think is
right,
the truth.
But it's not just right and wrong. A lot of people in a public forum choose to do what is called coach speak, which is talk for 5 minutes and say nothing. Belichick does it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily that he's lying. He's just eschewing the question asked to just say anything other than give the information the reporter or the question asker.
You ask what he had for breakfast, you find out they're playing Buffalo next week.
We're on to Cincinnati.
That's right.
It's just the way he acts.
No, that's a game to him.
Right.
That's a game. Can I win this game?
For you, is it a game though? Like when you're even doing this right now, do you consider it a part of the scheme almost? Like, is this at all connected to what you do as a coach, or is this just a side piece?
No, I think it's totally connected. The thing I hated the most as a player was when a coach misled me. And so when I went into coaching, I said, hey, I don't care. I don't care if I hurt their feelings or they hate me the rest of life. I'm going to tell them exactly what I think because I don't want them guessing where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And I had coaches that treated me that way, and I didn't like some of the stuff they told me. I didn't like what they said, but I respected them for telling me what they really thought instead of trying, don't worry about it. You're going to play next week. Baloney. The only way I'm playing next week is if that guy gets hurt. Why don't you tell me that? That's the only way I get to play is if he gets hurt.
That's right, yeah.
I'll be ready. But I want to go in when he's hurt, right? Yeah, just tell me that. I mean,
yeah. And with the players, the preparation standpoint, do you think it's, that brutal honesty, it can't be for everyone. You know what I mean? I know that I actually would prefer it that way. Shoot me straight. Don't lie to me and have it. But I know there are certain guys who like to sort of be glad-handed. And as a player, I remember hanging out with a guy who got just talked up, to the moon by his position coach. And his coach rolled his eyes. And I was an old enough player at that point to talk to the coach. I'm like, yeah, what was that about? He's like, I have to gas him up every once in a while, otherwise he won't work. Do you just avoid those type of players, or do you coach it out of them? How does that all work?
In the very seldom times we get a player like that, because in the recruiting process, I'm going to tell you, here's another truth. We let them hang out with our players as much as possible. We don't want it, no matter how talented he is, we don't want him to come to our program if he doesn't know what to expect out of our program. And coaches are salesmen. So coaches, when you're trying to recruit a kid, will tell him what he wants to hear and try to entice him to sign. But when the players get with players, players don't lie to players.
Right.
right? They don't. Players don't lie to players. So we make sure they're with our players all the time. So if they decide to be one of us, they know exactly what they're getting into. and so far, that is the best part of our program. I say this all the time, is we've got great kids. I hear people complain about all the time, well, they don't want to work. They don't want to show up on time. They want to leave quickly. They want to have this vacation time and that vacation time. I had a guy tell me that in OB on a park table. I said, you meet me at 5:30 tomorrow morning. You get up early, don't you? Meet me at 5:30, and we'll go see what my group is doing at 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, they're out on the field running, doing agility drills and all that stuff. There's not one guy late. There's not one guy complaining or anything else, and they're killing themselves out there because they want to be good football players. I said, is that the group you're talking about? He goes, I apologize. That's not the guys I'm talking about.
That's fantastic.
Rocky Long joining us, Mark and Rich Show. We're out at the Aztec Football Legacy Golf Tournament. Coach, you've been doing this for a lot of years. What keeps you doing it?
Well, right now I enjoy it because I'm around great kids. And, you're not in this business, and it's not any fun if you don't win. So here in the last few years, I got a great coaching staff. They work their fannies off. They do a great job of coaching and recruiting kids, and we've been winning. And I have very few off-the-field issues. Every once in a while we do, and it's usually a darn freshman because he hadn't been taught yet. But, every once in a while it's an older guy, but usually it's a freshman. But I have very few issues off the field. So it's fun going to work, and obviously it's fun winning. So as long as we keep winning and the kids are good kids, why would I do anything else? I'll go sitting on the couch and watch TV when I can't walk no more.
Yeah, there you go. And there's plenty of that going on. Rocky, I think about this upcoming season, and it will look different. The complexion of the coaching staff has changed, most notably losing Danny to ASU. He's going to be coaching alongside Herm Edwards as his defensive coordinator now. You get to see him during that game. How has that adjustment been for you guys? Because it's seldom that you lose coaches on your staff.
It's been good because we've replaced them with really good guys. But it's not as smooth as it has been the last few years because we didn't. The last few years, the group has been together for so long, we didn't hardly have to meet, and we already knew what to expect, how things were going to go, how we handle this, how we handle that, even on game day. Well, this is new coaches that haven't been in our system long enough. So we have to remember that we have to tell them how it goes, how things go, And then they're approaching our players. I tell every one of our coaches, coach to your personality. Don't coach like the last guy. Coach to your personality. And so the coaches all have different personalities, so players are getting used to some different personalities. They're all good guys. They're all great coaches. They're just coaching it a different way.
Is that difficult to coach a coach? Like, what's more difficult, to coach a coach and try to get him to do it your way, or coach a player and try to get him to do it your way?
Coach a player to try to get him to do it your way. I don't, and I learned this because I've been a head coach, almost 20 years now. Don't make coaches coach like you. You hire good people and let them coach like they want to coach. Now, you have the choice on scheme and stuff, and you can argue about who gets to play. Now, we can argue as coaches about all that. But let them coach to their personality. They're so much better when they coach to their personality and aren't worried about the head coach looking over their shoulder all the dang time.
Rocky Long with us out here, Mark and Rich Show. Coach, I thought your comments the other day about these initiatives coming up in November was really interesting. And I sort of made the point. I said the same comment can land very differently from two different people. If Rich or I had said what you had said, it's like, okay, there's a guy with an opinion on the radio. But to come from you, especially a football coach, talking about the non-football aspects of it, I thought was really, really interesting, really cool. I do wonder, though, have you allowed yourself at any point, have you thought 4 years from now what it might look like if you actually had Aztec Stadium, filled from end to end with nothing but Aztec fans in there? Have you allowed yourself to dream about that day at all?
You do a lot of dreaming in the offseason.
Yeah.
Once you get into the season, it's, how dang, we got to win this week, and you go from day to day. But in the offseason, you dream a lot. And I don't know why we can't be a top 20 team year after year after year. And I don't know why we can't become very one of the teams that when the Power Fives expand, which they're going to do in a couple years when the TV contract comes up, I think we can be a team that they would love to have join their league. I don't know why that's not possible. Now, obviously, we have the San Diego State West Campus, and all those things that have to get done for that to happen. But football-wise, if we can get that done, and football is a very small part of this. I keep saying that people want to make it football versus soccer. That is not what it's about.
Right.
But if the football part's taken care of, I don't see why we're not going to be a Power 5 team in 5 years. To be honest with you, there's a dream.
If that opportunity did come knocking, what kind of fight do you think USC and UCLA would put up?
I don't think we'd be in the Pac-12.
Okay.
I think the two Arizona schools and UCLA and USC think that San Diego's their market.
Uh-huh.
So they're going to do everything in the world to keep us from joining that league. But there's a couple other leagues that would love to have a foothold in Southern California. Big 12 would love to have a team in Southern California, and so forth and so on. You know, back in when Texas and all them were going, they invited a couple, and I think it was UCLA and maybe SC, they invited a couple Pac-12 teams to join that league. And those two teams actually thought of joining Texas and Texas A&M in a new league and all that. I don't think we'd have any trouble playing in the Big 12, and I don't think the Big 12 would have any trouble taking us.
You know, I look at college sports, the most popular being basketball and football played. You have coaches. You get to know the coaches the best. I mean, obviously in basketball, it's a lot of one and done or close to it at this point. And in football, you get to know some of these guys, but they're buried on the depth chart for a while, and then they become a pro, and they can even sign early with the NFL. So it's coaches you really get to know. And, I mean, statues are erected. You're going to have a stadium built. This team has been winning for a while. The Padres had a stadium built on the backs of a World Series appointment for them. You know, you have this situation coming to a vote in November. I mean, for a large portion of the voters, it's going to maybe depend on how great the football team's looking. Do you put that pressure on yourself? And is there any expectation for you down the line for your name to be celebrated in some way? I'm not saying it needs to be Rocky Long Stadium, but maybe a nice bronze statue out front for crying.
That's a joke, by the way. The second part of that question is a joke. Football coaches, I'm sure there's some that should have been held in that kind of esteem, but it's not me. The other part, that's why I brought it up. First of all, you're not going to burden your players with, hey, if we don't play well this year, the whole program's going down and we're not going to be able to have a stadium and we're not going to play football anymore. That's ridiculous to burden your team with that kind of stuff. And I think there's a few people that are believing it's football versus basketball that might think that way. Well, if you play good, then we're going to help you get a new stadium. But if you don't play good, then we're going to help soccer. That's the people that don't think very deep. That's the people that don't understand what the whole situation is. We're not talking just about a football stadium. I mean, I'm a football coach. We need the football stadium. But that's baloney. What the community needs is a big-time university. Guess what? We got a big-time zoo. Why can't we have a big-time university that has two campuses with a trolley that goes between it, and we increase the revenue for experiments and all those things? Why can't we do that? And then in the process, for years, the community benefits. For years. Not from a few $1 million in tax revenue. You know, for years, the community is enhanced by a big-time university. Now, if people think about it deep enough, we're going to win easy.
Yeah.
If they actually think about what the situation is, we'll win easy. And then all of it will work.
Great stuff. Rocky Long joining us. By the way, I know you know, JD already said you guys are just going to go around and shake hands today. Are you a golfer?
I play a little bit, but I'm not very good.
What's the best round you ever shot?
Ever?
Ever.
I don't know, 84 or 5.
Good
That's
Lord.
not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good.
bad.
Well, no, hold it now.
Yeah, go ahead.
The last time I played, I shot 114.
Okay.
Because I count
Coach,
every stroke. I count every
same
stroke.
here.
You're honest.
I'm a
you're
straight
honest, yeah.
shooting 122 golfer. So
we can play.
We can play. We'll play cart golf out there. That'll be good.
Coach, great
Thanks,
to see
guys.
you.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you for coming by. All right, there it is. The head coach of the Aztecs, Rocky Long, joining us. Mark and Rich Show.